may show a slight uptick on the scale. And then what happens? We panic, we slide down a shame spiral, and for no reason, because we didn't actually gain fat, we just didn't poop. It's a fluctuation. Do you struggle to maintain weight loss but desperately want to feel good in your own skin, confident in your clothes, and improve your overall health? If so, you're home. Hey, I'm Sam, dietitian, specialist in weight management, and former functioning fat girl. I learned the secret of how to lose and maintain weight by simply nourishing my life well. If you're ready for the sustainable nutrition strategies, consistent habits, and freedom from a self-sabotaging mindset, grab your water bottle and let's go. Before we get started on today's amazing episode, I just want to remind you that if you're not subscribed to my email list yet, you're missing out. I'll be breaking down the most important points of these podcast episodes, providing you with a healthy recipe of the week or a favorite meal prep tip, and give you first dibs on any new offers or programs I'm running. This is the best way to stay in contact with me, and I'd also really love it if you sent in ideas for topics to get into on the podcast. So don't miss out and go ahead and click the link in the show notes to subscribe to Anchored Living, my email newsletter. Okay, let's dive into the episode. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast, the first More Than a Number podcast episode of the new year. If you're listening to this in real time, happy New Year to you and yours. I am praying God's abundance over you this year and always. And if you're not listening in real time, happy whatever time of year it is for you. I'm so glad you're here. Today we are continuing on with the theme of New Year, Better Me that we've been talking about the last couple weeks. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to episodes 19 and 20, I strongly encourage you go back and take a listen. It's a New Year, Better Me, not New Year, New Me philosophy. You feel me? Much to the dismay of the interwebs that flood our algorithms with New Year, New Me, because you don't need a new you. You need a version of yourself who is supported, understood, and empowered. A version of you who's living in alignment with the goals you already care about. We are always evolving. We're always striving to do better. At least I believe we should be. We are human, so we'll never be perfect. But as long as the good Lord gives us another day, it's another opportunity to be better and to do better, especially when it comes to our weight loss journeys. And although I hear some version of, I'm just not motivated at least 700 times a day, the truth is most people don't need more motivation per se. They don't need a new diet or a new workout plan or a new kitchen overhaul. They need something way simpler. Something I believe is both wildly over-dramatized and wildly underrated. Something that science backs over and over and over again. Tracking. We need the habit of tracking and tracking the habits. I'm going to explain, I promise. Yes, tracking is your secret weapon. And before you turn off the episode, cringe in your seat or imagine I want you to create some 47-column spreadsheet. Stick with me, I promise. Tracking is not about perfection or rigidity. It's about awareness. It's about creating a map so that you can actually see where you're going instead of throwing spaghetti at the wall and just guessing. If I had $1 for every time someone said to me, I'm just not disciplined, I would absolutely be a millionaire. But you know how to build discipline? You track it. Now, if you have already completed a winning at weight loss breakthrough session with me or are currently one of my clients, then this will be a really great review for you here. And if you've been thinking about scheduling that session, you can definitely bet that the keys I talk about today will be a lot of the meat of the lifestyle audit that I do within that breakthrough session. The link is in the show notes if you're ready to get started. So today, I'm breaking down 6 things I track on a daily basis. Don't panic. And encourage all of my clients to track for that sustainable, long-lasting weight loss and overall healthy life that we are truly looking for, that real transformation. Remember, we're not about extreme temporary diets. We here at the More Than a Number podcast are about lifelong, consistent weight loss and weight maintenance. So you ready to learn all about the secret weapon to our dream of lasting weight loss? Let's go. Okay, number 1, we want to track intake because awareness drives the change. Now, I know there will be people who push back on this, and I do truly understand certain circumstances where tracking our calories and macros and all of that may not be ideal, like people with a history of eating disorder or OCD related to disordered eating. In that case, fine, skip this step. But for everyone else, every single study on long-term weight management shows that people who track their food intake in some way, anyway, lose more weight, maintain more weight loss, and have better clarity on habits. So tracking your intake is not at all meant to be punishment. It's not meant to be obsession. It's not a strive for perfection. And it's not a math test trying to figure out your calories and all of that. Tracking your intake is actually just gathering honest data. It's a gentle awareness, a chance to see trends and patterns, an opportunity to adjust before spiraling out of control, to change, our behavior, pivot, if you will. And here's what most people don't realize is that the act of tracking alone, let me say this real loud for the people in the back, the act of tracking itself, not even changing anything, just the tracking, often naturally reduces overeating and emotional eating because it creates a pause. It interrupts autopilot. It builds mindfulness. Let me say that again. It creates a pause, meaning when we don't have to enter our food into, the tracking app, we're much more inclined to allow for and justify more. But when we see it right in front of our eyeballs and we see oh crap, I've already consumed 2,000 calories today and, got in 180 grams of protein. So no, I guess I don't need this protein bar I was going to grab and inhale while mindlessly scrolling socials. I can't tell you how many times people will swear up and down to me that they aren't eating that much and couldn't possibly be taking in more than X amount of calories and can't understand how they're gaining weight. And then when we log everything for 7 days and go back and I go through it, with a red pen, we see that that's just not the case. They are usually taking in much, much more than they realize. Not always, but usually. You can use an app, like I mentioned before, a tracking app. You can use your notes page, a journal, a picture log. I don't really care how you track, but pick whatever you'll actually stick with. I have used so many of the different apps. I've used MyFitnessPal, Lose It, Baritastic. All my bariatric peeps will know that one. You name it, I've probably used it. My favorite by far is actually a paid app. It's Carbon Diet Coach. That's what I've been using mainly, like since Lane Norton started it pretty much. But I do understand not wanting to pay for an app. So in which case, the free version of MyFitnessPal or any one of the other ones are fine. Whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters the most is that you're actually doing it. Okay. Awareness first, change second. Okay, the next thing that we want to be tracking is our activity. So, not just necessarily workouts, but movement as a whole. So, here's the thing. Most people dramatically, just like we underestimate how much food we intake in a day, or I should say calories, either from food or from beverage. In a day, we also dramatically overestimate how much we move. We really do think we are moving a heck of a lot more than we are. So we think we're getting 8,000 steps, but it's really 2,200. Or we think we work out 4 days a week, but it's actually been like 2 weeks since we've even done a workout. We think we stand all day, but the watch says otherwise. It's like the Maury Povich episodes. The lie detector says different. When you track your activity, your steps, your workouts, and like just general movement, you stop relying on vibes and start relying on actual fact. And this is so crucial for weight loss because we have what's called NEAT, N-E-A-T, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, basically like non-exercise movement. So we can actually burn a lot of calories with that type of movement in addition to our workouts. We want to strive to achieve as much of that as possible, which, like parking further away, to walk more to whatever destination that we're going to, taking the stairs versus the elevator, those kind of things. And even short walks can improve our blood sugars and our appetite regulation. Movement also reduces stress, which helps to reduce cravings. So tracking our activity helps us see what's actually happening versus what we think is happening, what we conjure up in our heads. And when we see the truth, then, we can make better choices or make more choices, try to move more. The next thing that we want to keep track of is our sleep, which I fully believe is the most underrated weight loss tool on earth. And I will die on that hill. Improving sleep may be the single most impactful thing a person can do for weight loss and metabolic health. I swear, when you track sleep, even loosely, you can see your patterns in energy. You notice higher cravings on the short sleep days. You recognize how bedtime impacts mood and hunger. You understand when your body's asking for rest. And you can notice, time-wise, how when we eat a lot right before we go to sleep, how that affects our quality of sleep, all of these things. Research shows that poor sleep increases our hunger hormone, ghrelin. It increases cravings for the higher calorie foods. It reduces our impulse control, just mindlessly grabbing anything, especially a lot of us struggle with the nighttime snacking. And it decreases our overall movement. So tracking sleep can really help us to stop guessing why we feel off and really start addressing the root cause. Now next, number 4 is going to be a hot button. Okay, so the fourth thing that I want to talk about tracking Okay, everybody take a deep breath with me, but it is our weight. I know this podcast is called More Than a Number. And I know weight tracking can be loaded for some people. But here's the thing. And this is based on actual evidence, my own lived experience, and years of working with clients. No, our weight is not our worth, but our weight is a trend line, and tracking the trends can give us the power. It's the data. The power is in the data. We can see where the trends are happening, and it helps to put it all together. So if the scale is off and we've tracked our intake and we've tracked our activity and we've tracked our sleep, we can really look through and see like, all right, well, that doesn't say what I was expecting it to say. So did I sleep well last night? Did I hit my targets intake wise the last couple of days? Did I, and you can kind of put it all together. So when we track our weight in a smart and responsible way, let me repeat that, smart and responsible way, we can learn to detach from the emotion of it. We can see like the natural fluctuations because, our bodies are always fluctuating. And we can see those natural fluctuations and just stop panicking over every little uptick on the scale. We understand how sodium, hormones, sleep, stress, all of those things affect us. We can catch the upward trends before they become overwhelming. So we can stop the spiral before it gets out of control. And we learn what maintenance actually looks like, because again, it's not going to be the number in your head is, I'm just going to use a random number, 150. You're not going to every single day for the rest of your life get on the scale in the morning and be exactly 150 pounds. We fluctuate all the time. That's just maintenance. That's okay. Now, please note, I said in a smart and responsible way. That does not mean stepping on the scale every single time you walk past it throughout the day. The goal is not to obsess. The goal is to gather enough data that no single weigh-in sends you into a spiral. Now, this may be surprising to some, but I actually have significantly changed my stance on how often we should weigh in over the years. When I first became an RD and started counseling people, I was a staunch observer of the no more than once a week club and rule. However, as more and more research came out and I learned more about best practices for weight management, I've really adopted the practice of weighing daily, but taking weekly averages. So let me break that down for you. If we only weigh once a week, when we get on the scale, the previous 24 to 48, 72 hours is gonna quote unquote weigh very heavily on that number. Pun totally intended. Meaning, if you consumed a lot more salt and or carbs the day before and didn't drink enough water, or if you haven't pooped in a day or two, it may show a slight uptick on the scale. And then what happens? We panic, we slide down a shame spiral, and for no reason, because we didn't actually gain fat, we just didn't poop. It's a fluctuation. Our bodies are constantly fluctuating, like I said, based on so many different factors, which is why tracking our intake and activity and sleep can be so helpful. Because like I said before, we can put it all together. Okay, so the method is to weigh daily, first thing in the morning, after you go to the bathroom, totally naked. Just keep a pen and paper there and write down the number. That's your data point. Do that every day for 7 days. And then on the 7th day, add them all up and divide by 7. That gives you your average for the week. And then do it again for the next week. And then you compare the weekly averages. It's a much, much more accurate way to see your weight changes. And like I said before, when something's off, you can go to your intake and activity logs. How have you been sleeping? Check all of those things to see if they've played a role and if there's something that you can improve on for the following week. Weight is just feedback. It's just data. It's just information. The story that we attach to the number is when the drama happens, not the actual number itself. So we've got to detach from the emotion of it. And by doing this every day, it actually does help you be less emotionally invested in it because you can see those trends. Okay, so with that being said, the next thing that we want to track is our non-scale victories. So along with the scale data, we also want to track those so important non-scale victories along the way because that just adds more to be grateful for when that silly scale is not saying what you want it to say. So if the first 4 are based in science, the non-scale victories are based in the soul. That's what makes our soul happy and grateful. This is where the motivation comes from. This is where identity shifts and those identity goals that we talked about last week start coming together. This is where people realize, oh, I'm actually changing. Look at me go. Some examples of non-scale victories are our pants are fitting differently or better. We have better energy. We have fewer cravings. Our mood is improved. We have more confidence. Our skin is clearer. We have stronger workouts, less joint pain, better digestion, saying no to something you would have mindlessly eaten before, and flat out just feeling dang proud of yourself, as you should. When you track these non-scale victories, something really incredible happens. You are able to take the emotion out of the scale and stop tying your entire identity and progress to it. You start noticing the real transformation, the internal one, long before the external shows. And that's the transformation that lasts. And then number 6, the final piece of the tracking secret weapon is habit tracking. So all of those first 5 things I just went over, tracking intake, activity, sleep patterns, our weight, and the non-scale victories, those are all habits that we have to form. If we're not used to doing them, they don't just come naturally. We don't just wake up in the morning and want to do all of those things. So how can we create the discipline to stay on top of them and make them part of our everyday lives? We track them. I've talked about a habit tracker here and there before, but I can't stress how incredibly valuable it is. You can Google them and get a template from online or ask George, aka ChatGPT, that's what I call my ChatGPT, to make you one. If you've listened to the past few episodes or, any of the previous episodes, I'm a huge fan of the book Atomic Habits and the author of it, James Clear. He provides a really awesome habit tracker, which is the one that I use. But regardless of where it comes from, the premise is you list the habits you want to do for a certain period of time. So mine goes by months. Vertically listed are the habits, and then horizontally across are the days of the month. By the way, before you come at me like, Sam, for the love of God, I don't have time to be tracking anything else. I promise you, it literally takes less than 30 seconds. All you do is check the box. So write down intake, activity, sleep, weight, non-scale victories down the line. And every night before you go to bed, just check the box if you did it. That's it. I guarantee you, once you get started checking them boxes, it becomes like a game. You don't want to miss a day because you hate to see that empty box. It's so satisfying to make that check mark. And all along, it's building consistency, which is building trust within yourself and creating the discipline you need to keep going. It's a really beautiful thing. So to put it all together, here's the truth behind the New Year Better Me mindset. We don't transform because we suddenly have more willpower on January 1st. We don't wake up on J1 like, oh, I have all this willpower. We don't just miraculously become a disciplined person. We transform because we make our progress visible. Tracking intake, activity, sleep, weight, non-scale victories, and the habits of doing them removes the guesswork and puts you firmly in the driver's seat. So it's not the diet that changes us. It's not the plan. It's not the motivation. It's the awareness. It's the honesty. It's the small daily choices that add up because we can actually see them. If we're not honest with ourselves, we're not going to get anywhere in our desired weight loss journey. So tracking is not about restriction. It's about empowerment. It's freedom. It's the secret weapon because it tells us the truth. We don't want to have to wonder why we feel we're working so hard but not seeing results. And when we know the truth, we can make the decisions that support the identity we're stepping into. So we already created, if you listen to the last couple episodes, we created that New Year Better Me game plan. And you can use that to, part of your actions that we put on our game plan can be to track those things. So again, it's all about building the habits. Use the habit tracker to help you achieve those goals that you created in your New Year Better Me game plan. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to listen to episodes 19 and 20. And then the biggest secret weapon out of all of that really is the tracking. So New Year Better Me starts with better awareness, self-awareness. And we are so capable of doing that. We are so worthy to do that. We're ready. Bring on the new year. Unless it's like the middle or the end of the year for you. In that case, bring on that time frame. Don't wait for the new year. Start now. Okay, friends. As always, until next time, I love you. God loves you. Happy New Year. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day.
Hey friend, I really hope you feel empowered by this episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with another friend who needs it? Also, please leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It brings me so much joy to know this podcast is helping you. Okay, time to go nourish well, aka eat some good food. I'll meet you back here next time for another episode. I love you and God loves you. Have a beautiful day.